So, Mr. Everall, let's go to how did fitness come about for you? How did that start? What was the inspiration behind CPE physiques?
So how did it all start? Basically just like growing up, like I was always like really like just a typical skinny kid, to be
Mm,
honest. And then as like I got older, as I sort of like left school, I started to sort of enjoy the gym a little bit more. I joined my local sort of commercial gym and sort of just started going to the gym. Was I doing it correctly? Definitely not. Definitely not. It was the typical just go in and train whatever you want. And yeah, just not no like intensity, nothing like no structure, just go in and have fun pretty much. Did I make much progress? Probably not looking back.
but did you enjoy it?
I did, and of
Exactly.
course this is like obviously led me to where I am today, so of
Hmm.
course it plays a role regardless of like the progress. So yeah, I've always like been like pretty skinny growing up, and always took an interest into like fitness and sport and stuff like that, and then just kept going to the gym and like meeting people like in the gym and stuff like that, and like figuring out like how like sort of serious you can take it in terms of like personal training and stuff like that, and actually making a career out of it. And then lockdown came, and obviously couldn't go to the gym, so that was kind of a sticky situation because like at that point I was like really into the gym, like I was really enjoying it, and then of course like all the gyms shut, and I
Mm.
was just like, oh great, like what am I going to do now, sort of thing. And during that time, that's when, well, obviously I brought some like equipment for like home, but again it wasn't the best sort of stuff, like it was just like a
It's your
squat rack.
typical, isn't it? Just
Yeah. But that was also the time where I just ended up spending that lockdown just learning as much as I could. Like I was constantly listening to like podcasts, doing loads of research, and really just almost fell in love with bodybuilding and like fitness and training in general.
hmm
Like so obviously there was nothing else to do around that time, and I just became obsessed with like just learning more and more about like training and nutrition and just actually taking it a bit more seriously, so that when I came back like after lockdown, like returning to the gyms, everything was like, right, I'm going to do this.
dialed.
Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
do this properly. So yeah, that's sort of how it started really. And then from there, just keep going to the gym, and here we are really.
How did you find? Because you've been in with AJ for a while now. How did
Yeah.
you start off with him? 'Cause
So
did you ever think that you'd compete?
not right at the start.
Mm.
At the start, I definitely didn't know what I knew what bodybuilding was for sure, but I didn't know what like natural bodybuilding was. And then once sort of over that lockdown period, that's when I sort of discovered what bodybuilding was a little bit more, especially like natural bodybuilding. And I think that's when I discovered who AJ was.
Hmm.
So at that point, I just like followed like obviously him and like a few other like natural bodybuilders, and just started following more and more people within that scene. And then I think it was at the end of 2020, I think it was, that's when I sort of reached out to AJ, because at that point I was like, right, I've obviously been doing it myself a little bit, and I want to almost take it to that next level and actually hire a coach. And at that point, my sort of mindset was always, because there was obviously loads of coaches that I could have gone with, but at that point, my mindset was like, well, if I'm going to go with someone, I want to go with the best. And
Mm.
that's why I was like, right, let's not like waste time with anyone else kind of thing. And that's like no disrespect to anyone else, but like I was just like, I want to go with the best. So
Hmm.
I inquired of AJ, and we've been working together. What is it, 5 years now? Yeah,
Nice.
just over 5 years, which is absolutely crazy. It's flown past. And yeah, literally, I don't have like any regrets whatsoever. And it's definitely been the best thing that my physique has happened in terms of like the amount of progress I've made. And I'm pretty confident that I wouldn't have made that progress if not necessarily just AJ, but just getting into coaching itself, because like the accountability that it's provided and like the step up in terms of how serious I take it,
Hmm.
has definitely come from actually just getting a coach sort of thing.
Do you feel like AJ has had quite a big influence on not only your bodybuilding career but your coaching as well?
100%, 100%. I am the coach I am now because of AJ, like without a doubt. Not only because of obviously like the stuff I've gone through in terms of my own journey, but
Mm.
also just having someone there who's like at the top of the game, who I can ask questions about certain things and just almost improve my own knowledge based off of his knowledge, like has been massive for me and like my coaching itself, in the sense of I can know more and also like help more people. And yeah, I definitely take a massive inspiration from AJ and what he's done within the coaching scene, because like that has inspired me to be the coach that I am. And of course, like I'm not anywhere near AJ or anything like that, but definitely wouldn't be in this position in terms of coaching without him for sure.
We're working our way up. We're getting
Yeah,
there. We're
we're getting
getting
there
there.
slowly, slowly but surely.
Yeah, like I think people underestimate the value of a coach, especially as a coach, because it's not just a tool to learn from and to progress your physique. Like it's just literally you have a bank of knowledge in front of you that has been through everything that you've been through. And now all of a sudden you've got this knowledge which is like shining on you, telling you that you can do this, you can do that. And anytime that you obviously, I'm sure you've come up with struggles before where maybe a client has been slightly difficult, or they're not progressing the way that you have, and you kind of just relay it with them and be like, cool, I've got this client, this is the situation, like these are the points that I want to kind of come across, and they're not making the progress that I assumed they would make. Can you see any problems, kind of thing? Do you find that you went to him quite a bit with that?
Yeah, definitely more so at the start more than anything.
Mm.
Just for like that, like clarification that I am doing the right things, and it's more of a case of like, oh, this is the problem. This is what I'm thinking. Do you agree? Kind of situation. Like, am I going down the right path? And he'd either say like, yes, like that's exactly what I would do, or maybe try this. And it is like in terms of like the like real specific scenarios, in terms of like sometimes like clients can be a little bit tricky, or there can be scenarios where you may not be 100% on a certain thing, and having that person like in your corner to just run things past does help you massively, and it also helps you learn and be able to coach better in the long run. But yeah, especially with like specific scenarios and like certain things, like it's been a massive like game changer to obviously have someone like that with their knowledge at my disposal. Like it really, really has.
So with AJ, you obviously prepped for the first ever time, a 33-week prep. So quite a long one
Very
compared to what some people have done. I think typically with naturals, obviously, as we know, assisted preps are a lot shorter than naturals because they don't need as much time, whereas we need
cool.
a lot more to get into that kind of condition. But I think the average is kind of 25-ish. So definitely a lot longer one than 4 shows in total. How did you find?
Prep itself was really fun, really,
Yeah.
really fun. Obviously, so I've been working towards this like competing year for a long time, because obviously I started with AJ in 2020, and that was always the goal when I signed up, was to compete at some point.
Mhm.
I didn't put like a specific time on it. I just knew I wanted to compete at some point, and then obviously when last year came around, it was like, right, here we go, kind of thing.
Full send.
Um, and like, of course, like I've obviously been working towards it for a while, and I was in the back of my head, I was always questioning, not questioning, but like wondering whether I would actually enjoy it, like properly
Mhm.
enjoy it. Because like I enjoy the day to day, like I love training, I love eating my meals, I love the routine, like all of that stuff. But when it comes around to actually doing a prep, 34, 33 weeks, whatever, of like consistently not missing anything, like getting on stage, all that good stuff, like there was a point where I was like, at the start, I was like, am I actually going to enjoy this? Like, I've done all this work up until now, and like, is that enjoyment going to be there, or is it just like, not for nothing, but like, it's like, oh, was I going to actually enjoy it? And genuinely, I really, really did. Like, I absolutely loved every minute of it. Like, I don't have any regrets whatsoever. I'm not like hard done by like the placings or anything like that. Like, I don't care about any of that whatsoever. Like, I had so much fun, and I look back at it with so many good memories. And yeah, of course, at points it was hard, and there were days that were definitely harder than others. But like as a whole, as a process as a whole, like I absolutely loved it. And yeah, it's definitely something that I'll do again for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Exciting. And next time, hopefully, a lot more tissue, as you said, a
Hopefully,
lot more
hopefully,
tissue before then.
hopefully.
Obviously, you did a few different. You did BMBF, WMBF, MBW, and UK DFBA.
Yep.
How was your experience in the different shows? And kind of, if you were to rank them 1 to 4, what would you say was your best and why? And what would you say was your worst?
So the reason why I did like 4 shows was, especially like my first season, like I wanted to just experience as much as possible, not
Mm,
only from my own in like enjoyment side of things, but also for clients as well in the future, to know what it's like to compete with different federations. I thought that was something I definitely wanted to do this year. So yeah, that's the reason sort of why we did 4 shows, just to sort of experience different federations. And don't get me wrong, I had fun at every single show. Like I really enjoyed every single show. I really enjoyed the competing and the getting on stage part, because obviously I know some people don't actually like getting on stage, which is
mm,
more than fair enough. Like some people don't like it, and there was always that apprehensiveness about like the first show, about actually being on the stage, and I genuinely did enjoy it, which is great. But in terms of like the actual specific shows, they were all good in their own way. I definitely had like preferences to like certain shows, and obviously like every show was slightly different in terms of how they were ran and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
I would say potentially some of the shows were more sort of, the memories of those shows were better because of the people I was competing with. There was obviously quite a few people that I knew, not only in my class but also competing at similar shows. So I do think that that also had a slight
Yeah,
impact on how I would rate the shows. But I would definitely say that like the favorite one was definitely the MBW, and that's not any bias towards
bias
AJ.
towards AJ.
No,
Yeah,
people may think it is, but it genuinely isn't.
yeah,
At that point in prep, like I was what, like 33 weeks into prep, like at the
mm,
right end of it. And like that show was like I think it was like 4 weeks after or 5 weeks after my previous, the third show. So at that point, I was like in the bin. I was absolutely ruined. And I was getting to the point where I was like, is it worth it just carrying on? Like, at what point do we just stop it? But I'm so glad that I did that show. Like, it was the most fun I had at a show weekend, like throughout the entire season. Like, it was so much fun getting on stage, the stage itself, like the backstage experience. Like if anyone is genuinely thinking about competing, like I would highly recommend doing the MBW show, because like it was just so much fun from an athlete experience, and I definitely didn't have that at every other show. And that's not like any disrespect to any other federations or anything, but I definitely feel that the athlete was taken as like their first priority in terms of
mm,
how they feel on the day, sort of thing, in comparison to other federations. But yeah, the MBW was definitely a highlight for sure. I enjoyed every other show. I would say the BMBF I wasn't as much of a fan of, in terms of just the 2 parts within the day, in terms of like the
mm-hmm.
more the
The
pre-judging,
way
and
it
then
was run. Yeah,
yeah, I prefer going all at once.
mm,
I understand how people do enjoy it. It was definitely different for sure. But I would say after doing all the shows, I would prefer more of sort of the typical style in terms of like the UKFBA or WNBF, etc.
yeah. I massively regret. I do and I don't regret not doing the MBW. I don't regret it because I was fried and mental was in the bin, and I
Mm,
just, even though the final show was the best one that I had, I just I wasn't there mentally, and I was ready for prep to be over.
mm,
And I think if I didn't have that, I definitely would have done MBF, MBW. But yeah, it just looked phenomenal. Like the shots that you got, the like you've got so many really, really good shots from it, because the photography was just insane. The videography was insane. Like people have like movies from the MBW because of just how good the whole production was. And I think it shows you when when like a top level competitor runs a show, it's gonna be run well. Obviously, no bias to AJ, but AJ is a very, very, very good competitor and athlete himself. And as a result, the MBW reflected that in the essence, as you said, the athlete was the top priority. I definitely think that should be the focus for all shows, really.
100%, 100%. And like, I'm not saying that other federations don't prioritize their athletes, because they do. But I definitely do agree with the point that you said, that like, of course, AJ's competed in numerous federations, and it's almost a case of like, right, what works, what doesn't work, and put it all the stuff that works all into one show. Like it's going to work at the end of the day, really, isn't
Mm.
it? But yeah, like you said, like the photography, the videography, the stage, the lighting, like all of that stuff was like really, really good, really high quality. And yeah, just had so much fun that weekend, and it was almost like a nice way to sort of finish the season, almost just like a good show. had a good time, and just almost like the best experience. It did really end the prep on like a more of a positive experience.
Yeah.
But I understand where you were at in terms of like mentally just gone, because I was also getting towards that point as well.
Yeah.
Like there was definitely a part of me at some point where I was like, is it worth just carrying on, or should we just stop now? Like, like especially when like you're not placing and stuff like that. Like obviously I didn't get like super high placings throughout the season and stuff like that, which I'm absolutely fine with.
Hmm.
But when obviously you're just competing for like your own like sort of love and enjoyment, there does come a point where it's like, oh, is it actually worth it? But I am very, very glad that I did do the MBW. But I completely understand like your view, and in terms of like just not doing it, because obviously it is late in the season as well. So if you've already started early, it's like it's just one of them things really. But no, I would definitely recommend next time you prep, mate, to jump on that stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I might not get the opportunity, but
No, yeah.
um, but yeah, I think like you said, I mean, I was quite lucky in the fact that my show, the actual season of my show, how long it wasn't that long because I did both my shows kind of within a couple weeks of each other.
Mm,
So I think those who started their competition season earlier in the year and then didn't finish till late, yeah, I can understand how that's a bit harder. I think for me, it was just I think prep itself had been too long, not necessarily the comp season. I
mm,
think going into it, I definitely want to compete earlier and carry that momentum on because
yeah.
I think the knowing that you're going to get better each show is more of a driving force for me than being 5 weeks out and being in top condition and then just holding it until show. Like I'd rather do what some people do is and jump into a show slightly early
Mm,
just to get that feel for it, get that swing back into competing and get that love for it again. And like you said, just and by doing that, you go into it without the expectation of placing and without the expectation of winning. So you almost force yourself to not think about placement and then that translates into the next shows because now you're at a point where you are in condition, you are in top form, you're full, you're peeled to the bone, you've got striated glutes, whatever it is. And now like you actually have a chance to win, but you don't have that mindset of focusing on that.
mm.
I think that's what I'll take into and just having a short prep really. Like I'd rather dig harder and get into condition quicker than spread it over a longer period of time. But
Yeah,
that's
for
kind of
sure.
my preference.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously loads of ways to prep, and of course,
Mm.
everyone is different. But I definitely do agree in the sense of like, obviously, with my first show, I wasn't at like 100%. That was never the goal to be 100%. I definitely did like the fact of coming into that first show, not having any expectations, especially it being my first ever show. Like, I had no idea like what to expect, sort of thing. So almost like going into it with like no expectation. It definitely, I think, did take away some of that pressure that I would
Mm.
probably put on myself. And then of course afterwards, like the thought of right, let's crack on, let's get even better. Like that is like really good in terms of like motivation to just like almost keep going. So I definitely do agree. And I definitely did find the hardest bit was from the UKFBA to the MBW, where we weren't almost chasing condition because the fat loss side of things are done. We were
It was
almost just
done.
holding, and it was almost kind of a bit of like a head fuck in the sense of like, well, should I not? I can definitely get leaner, because at that point in prep, you're always just, oh, I want to get leaner, I want to get leaner. But
Mm.
like, at that point, we were just like holding, and I'm just like, is this the right thing? And your head's all over the place. But when you know you've got to be leaner and you've got that target, it's definitely more in terms of like motivational, which I definitely did like at that point within the prep for sure.
Yeah, I think holding is the hardest part because it's like your coach is like literally do nothing. Do nothing. Like steps are low, cardio's out, food is some lot low for the beginning and then it starts to increase, but you just you just feel like you're doing nothing. And I
Yeah.
think that was the thing for me. It was like I wasn't stage condition ready, but I was almost like peak week ready. I was almost peak week ready at like 5 weeks out. And then
Mm.
it's just like, cool, we're going to hold this now. And in my head, it was just like, I don't want to. I'm bored. I want to
Yeah.
be chasing something. I want to be constantly feeling like I can get better and get better and get better. Um, and I think I was told by too many people that I was ready and that I was in condition. And as a
Mm,
result, like subconsciously, I was like taking the foot off the gas and being like, cool,
mm,
yeah, this is fine. And then 3 weeks out come and I'm like, I'm not how I looked 5 weeks out. And now I'm chasing that. And then you
yeah.
spend 3 weeks chasing a condition that you had 5 weeks out just because you cruise for a little bit.
Mm,
So I think, yeah, I'm definitely the same. Like if I would have competed at that 5 week out mark and not been 100%, I think the rest of my shows would have been completely different.
mm,
But it's a learning experience at the end of the day. And I think that's the beauty of bodybuilding is you never know 100%. There's always something you can learn. There's always something you can improve, and just getting better each time.
100%, 100%. Like, not every prep, not every show you do is going to be perfect. Like, there are definitely shows and parts of my prep that weren't perfect, and of course, we'll just take that into future. Like, like you said, bodybuilding is such like a learning process, and you learn from the mistakes, but also the success as well. And you know what works, you knows what don't work, and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just all about learning and just improving, and just like accepting that not everything's going to be perfect like every single time. There are going to be things that throw your way that just aren't like they're out of your control. And like you said, just learning from that will make you a better bodybuilder in the future.
Too right, too right. What was your cardio distraction? What was on your phone while watching cardio? What was the distraction?
I'm going to blow your mind,
Do
but I
it.
didn't do any cardio throughout prep.
Really?
Yeah,
None.
none, just steps.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
just steps. So steps did get up to like 15,000 every day at one point. But yeah, no
What
cardio.
did your food go down to?
I think on a rest day, I think it was around about 1,500 calories. So
Still
like,
fair.
yeah, it's not terrible.
Considering no cardio, that's still fair.
Yeah, I think the peak like dig phase was like 15K steps, around about 1,500 calories. And majority like I think it was like maybe like 75 carb, something like
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna say I
Uh,
know that's literally just trace carbs
yeah,
to
it's
the
mostly
max.
trace and like maybe like 40 grams of oats in the evening, and that's it.
Yeah. I miss that though. I do.
Yeah, it's
I
a good
do.
feeling.
It's yeah, because it's
On
like
paper, it's like, oh, that must be terrible, but in the moment, it's
it's
like, oh
fun. It's fun knowing that you have to. It's like every day is a challenge. Knowing you have to go through your whole day being starving from the second you wake up to the second you go to sleep. And you live that life for weeks on end. And your meal is you take a photo. I remember I was doing a day in the life, not a day in life, a full day of eating and
yeah,
prep, and it was just like chicken, chicken veg berries, mince veg berries.
yeah, yeah,
It was just like every meal was veg berries,
yeah, yeah. You
and
get that one little bit of carbs at the end, and it's
yeah,
just,
and then
oh,
someone messaged me like, "I think you like berries." And I'm like, no, "It's not me. I don't have a choice. Carl just puts it
yeah,
in. It's just I just say yeah."
yeah, yeah,
But it's good fun. I missed that. Looking back, I miss prep, and I
yeah,
think there's so many people that tell you that they're like, you complain about prep in the moment sometimes, and because everyone does, you're in the trenches. Like it's hard, it's not easy. It's the reason we do it is because it's just like that mental and physical challenge like no other. But at the same time, they're like, you wait until you're like 2 months out, 2 months after, you'll miss it. You'll miss
100%.
being in that condition. And I do, because it's sick. It's cool. If
It's
only it was sustainable, but it
yeah,
isn't.
if only, if only everyone would just be walking around like 2 weeks out, peeled. Imagine this
Peak
like the gym.
insulin sensitivity, like, and
Yeah,
you walk into the gym, you've gained zero point 0.5 pounds of muscle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, imagine. What a time.
What
What a
time?
time. So your coaching has taken off quite a bit.
Getting
Did
there.
you find most of your growth was during prep? Was it beforehand? Was it after? How did that?
A bit of both. I wouldn't
Mhm.
say it's like exploded whilst I was on prep. I'd say sort of the last maybe 2 years, it's just been growing pretty gradually, a nice steady rate. I definitely did see a little bit more of an influx when I was competing and in around that time. But I think that's just generally coaching as itself. Like when you're typically leaner, you're posting a lot about like the way you look, and especially if you're like pretty lean to, especially to like the normal eye in terms of
Mm.
like non-bodybuilders. They're going to look at your physique and think, wow, like I want to look like that, like kind of thing. So typically when you are leaner anyway, you will just attract more people. I definitely find that. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's like just down to prep itself. I think just consistently posting content, especially for like the last couple of years, I've been really focusing on that and just trying to up my game in terms of that side of things. And I think that's what's led to more of the consistent growth rather than just me prepping and focusing on that, if that makes sense.
Mm. Would you think in terms of Would you think in terms of bodybuilding as a whole, what are kind of like the misconceptions, like the understated comments that people potentially overhype? What's
In
your
regards, what, in regards to bodybuilding or?
bodybuilding as a whole? Yeah, just the grand scheme of things. What do you think is overlooked, but is a very, very important topic or focus that should be for everyone, but isn't?
I think the biggest thing for me, and something that I try to preach almost throughout my prep, is just staying present. Just staying
Mm.
present, like within your journey, because not only during like your prep, but this also applies to like when you're in your off season. Because a lot of the time, people always say, "Oh, I can't wait to diet again," or "Oh, I can't wait to be in off season and getting strong again. I can't wait to eat loads of food," or "I can't wait to diet," or whatnot. And they always think the grass is greener on the other side, and sometimes it's not. Like you'll be in the off season, you'll be churning down loads of food, and you'll be wishing, "Oh, I wish I was dieting, getting leaner." And then at that point, you'll be thinking, "Oh, I wish I was back in off season." And it's constantly flip flopping in between the two. And I think a lot of the time, people can really just try to stay a little bit more present within their phase that they're in right now, because if they do, it will lead to a lot more enjoyment within bodybuilding, and not just wishing away time. Because as you know, when you're in prep, like that time flies past. Like it
Mm.
really, really does. Like you think like, oh, I'm starting prep, I'm 25 weeks out. All of a sudden you're 2 weeks out, and that time just absolutely flies. And that goes for every phase. And I think the big thing is just trying to stay as present as possible throughout whatever phase, whether that be in prep or off season or whatnot. And again, it will just lead to a lot more enjoyment within bodybuilding. And that's something I definitely wanted to focus on last year. And again, I think that's also the reason why I did enjoy prep so much, was because I was trying to stay present. Of course, there was points where it was hard and things like that,
Mm.
but just trying to find enjoyment and trying to stay present as much as possible will lead to a lot more enjoyment and longevity within the sport. I definitely think that that is something that a lot more people need to focus on.
How did you find being present? Like, what did you do to stay present and to realize that you were actually in the moment instead of just thinking forwards or thinking backwards?
Definitely just being a little bit more organized with my time,
Mm.
and then just almost not trying to shy away from conversations, especially in prep. A lot of the time, like obviously energy's low, and I've seen it at my gym itself. Like there are people that are on prep and stuff like that, and they don't want to speak to anyone. They're just in and out. They're like extreme, not aggressive, but you know how it gets in prep. And
Mm.
don't get me wrong, like there are points within certain people's preps that are hard, and they probably don't have the energy to speak to people or speak to their family or whatnot. And definitely something I tried to make sure was that everyone else in and around my life couldn't tell that I was on super low food. So when I was like
Mm.
digging super, super hard, I tried to make a conscious effort that I wasn't basically an asshole to everyone else around me, in the sense of like not speaking to them and just being super moody. Like I really tried my best to sort of engage in conversations when I was there. And of course, there were periods of time where I was like, I need to go to bed, or I need to just shut myself away because I don't have the energy. But I definitely tried my hardest to actually involve myself with situations, whether that be with my friends, my family, people at the gym. And, I definitely had some compliments from people at the gym. They would say like, "Oh, you seem super happy. Like surely you'd be like feeling like death." And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like I'm choosing to do this at the end of the day.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, don't get me wrong. There were points where I was like, it got to like 6 p.m. and I was just like, yeah, I'm gone. I'm done. I need
I'm
to go to
I'm
bed.
in bed now. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys. Phone's
done.
on do not disturb.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
I'm done.
curling up in a ball because I'm starving and I just want to go to bed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, just trying to immerse yourself in conversations and just understand that this is a choice at the end of the day. And like just trying to you know, like be present. Like it's all that matters. And like I said, it will lead to a lot more enjoyment, I think.
Do you have any horror stories? Any prep horror stories of situations you were in that was, I wouldn't
Horror
say
stories?
poor, but like you had to get out of?
Not really. I think I was quite lucky in that sense. Like obviously I'm like a coach, so it's obviously a lot easier. It's not in comparison to maybe someone working an office job or a 9 to 5 or like a
Mm,
manual labor job. I can understand like those situations could be a lot harder. Don't think there's any horror moments really. I look back at some pictures and I look dread. I look ill. There are definitely there's some photos that are
some
absolutely
Deathly
awful.
Hallows photos.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, not really any like situations where I like had to pull myself away. No, not really.
I think
What about
mine,
yourself?
the worst I had, or one of the worst, was we were, it was like a social gathering with my godmother and her kind of children and stuff like that. And it was like around them, their family. So we went back to, this is when I was still living here, but we went back to Watford, which is where I used to live.
Mm,
And we were at this event gallery and I was starving. I had food prepped that was in my car. I drove down separately. I had food prepped that was in my car, in the glove box. And I remember I was standing within this, um, it was like one of those tents, like one of those meeting tents, like the
mm,
really big gatherings. And there was just so many people around them. I knew no one. I literally knew no one. Like
yeah,
apart from my family and my godmother's family, I didn't know anyone else. And I remember just feeling very lost. And it's one of those that prep hits you hardest when you almost least expect it.
100%,
And I
100%.
remember there was just so many people around me, so many conversations, loads of energy. And it was almost draining my own energy. And I was just like, I'm going to go take half an hour. And I sat in my car, ate my food, and I literally just sat there for 30 minutes doing nothing.
Mm.
I just needed to get away from the situation. Yeah, but I had, I mean, were you at, did you live at home when you were in prep?
Yeah, so I live at home still.
Yeah, fair. Did you find it difficult or did you not because you were very present? Obviously, you're very focused on being there almost.
No, I think luckily I'm in a very supportive family, especially
Mm,
my family and my girlfriend's family. Like they're all very supportive, so I definitely am lucky in that sense.
mm.
But yeah, there was definitely a points where I sort of struggled to keep that sort of positivity and that presence, especially later on in the day, like when the caffeine has worn off and from the multiple energy drinks and stuff like that earlier on in the day to keep me
The
going.
three caffeine protocol,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
three monster
Um,
protocol.
but yeah, especially towards the evening, like I would just almost like struggle a little bit more. And I think
Mm.
there were points where maybe like I would just not overreact, but just almost just bite a little bit too easy or just not I don't know, just
Yeah.
not be as present sort of thing. But then at that point I would just like, right, it's done and like there's no point stressing about it and just almost like right, bedtime now.
Yeah, I think that was the hardest part I found about being home is obviously as parents, you look ill. We've all looked back on the
That's a
photos.
constant comment that
You
was made
look
to me
ill,
was
you
you
look
live
ill. And it was always, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait for you to be back to normal. And
Mm,
I think the main one for me was obviously I've grown up with having meals with family all the time, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then it was just dinner. And then obviously I was at school, and then now I work all the time. I don't eat with them at all. And I think the change between having meals with them before prep and then prep starting, and I was no longer eating with them and I was no longer going out with them. And there was always this kind of stigma that what I was doing wasn't normal. And I understand that to the normal eye, but to us, it is normal. This is the life that we chose. We chose to eat this way. We chose to live this way. Everything we've done is a choice. And that's why we enjoy it, because it's a process game. It's living in the process and it's enjoying that. And
100%.
I was always getting comments like, "Can't wait for you to be normal." Um, I can't wait to go back to eating like a normal person and enjoying food again. I'm loving food.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Carl will send me a 200 carb bump, and I'll be like, yeah,
yeah,
come on. Like I was eating the same meals in day out, but the reason I was doing that was because I enjoyed all my meals. Like I couldn't really tell you a meal that I didn't enjoy and prep
yeah.
because you're just so grateful for food itself.
100%, 100%. And it made me laugh. I don't know, you may have got this as well, but like I'd always get the comment of like, "Oh, don't you just want some like normal food?" And I'm thinking, I am
Oh,
eating normal
I
food.
could write that on my forehead,
Like,
like tattoo
yeah,
it. The
like
amount of
what's not
times.
normal about chicken and a little bit of rice and some veg? Like, what's
Yeah,
not normal about that? You know, like to the non-bodybuilder eye, like surely that is normal, you know?
it's
And
delicacy.
yeah,
It's
like
like
it
prime
used to
time
make me laugh. I'm just
cuisine.
like, what? This is normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the funniest one was uh I'd get like the are you not gonna have variety? And my response was always, what do you mean? I have variety. Is I changed the veg or I have different flavored chicken.
Yeah, yeah.
That is my
Or it's,
variety.
yeah,
It's
or
like
I'd
air
always,
fried chicken.
are you not bored of that meal? Are you not
No.
bored? No, no, definitely not. I enjoy it. I'll happily eat it every day.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference is I think being a bodybuilder gives you the insight into food and training that other people just don't realize. And it's especially prevalent. Like, I don't know if your mom has ever come to you for advice on losing fat or losing weight. Um, but it was always like, my response was always the same. You have to change your lifestyle. Losing weight isn't just these hacks and these tips and you can't biohack your life. Like
Mm.
you just simply have to change what you're already doing because clearly what you're doing isn't working. And it's like you have to train more. Oh, I don't have time for that. Okay, but you have to eat better. Oh yeah, but I like this. I like that. I like having a chocolate in the evening. I like eating. And I'm like, well then, what do you want? Do you want to lose weight or do you want to keep having everything that you enjoy? And like I found that there was no middle ground with especially with parents because they're like the most stubborn people in the world. I never found a middle ground between it. And
Mm.
I just gave up in the end. I've given up in the end. I was just
Yeah,
like, okay, you do you. Like you can ask me for advice. I'll give you advice. You can take it, you can leave it, whatever. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, did you ever have that?
Yeah, a little bit. But of course, like they come to you for advice and stuff like that,
Mm.
and it's just like, oh, well, will I look like you then? And I was like, no, you won't look like me. Don't worry. Um, my dad would always say like, oh, if I eat like you, will I look like you? I was like, not quite. It's not how it works. Um,
No.
but no, I think that's just parents, really. I think more so than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I love it though. It's makes you feel worth. Makes you feel
100%,
worth. If people
100%.
come to you like, obviously doing. I think the funniest ones is when I scroll Instagram, you see like the skits, and it's like you're an online coach at a gathering, and everyone's just like coming up to you, asking you for different advice
Yeah,
on things. It's just
yeah.
like, yeah, are you paying me for this? I'm
Yeah,
joking.
that's typical. That's typical when I see like my friends from school and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, what do you think about this? What about this?" And I'm just like, "Right, okay. This is what this gathering has turned into. Is just a fitness experiment, and we're just going to
Yeah.
break down your process." But no, I don't mind. I don't mind.
No, I think I love hearing stories of what people do and especially what they eat. And when someone goes to me, oh yeah, no, I just have 2 meals a day. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I have 2 meals a day. Like meal one would be like 80 grams of protein, and meal two would be like 100. I'm like, you're not absorbing like 50% of that. And
Yeah,
also, you say you hate food. Well, that's the reason because it's
yeah,
taking you 45 minutes to chow down one of your 2 meals. Like, just
yeah,
separate it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. And
I
it's
think,
fun. I find it funny as well. Not even like the bodybuilders, but like the gem pop people who don't actually like they have like 2 meals a day and like they'll have the smallest portion of protein throughout the day and
mm,
that's it. Like they'll have like cereal for breakfast or like toast and then skip lunch or whatever, don't have lunch, and then dinner is like the smallest bit of chicken with like pasta. And it's just like you got no concept of like nutrition. And I think that's where just like growing up and like just learning about nutrition, like in these day and age, just like it obviously isn't prioritized as much. But that's a whole another topic in itself.
Oh, a whole another one. Like I grew up in with swimming, so I've always been in a family that values eating and like values the understanding of you need food to fuel you. Um, and obviously being a swimmer is kind of like when we did competitions, it was like you need carbs for fuel, so you have like pasta
Mm.
like, at your mid race, whatever, and you have like quick carbs, like whatever it is, like squares bars or
Yeah.
just kind of those quick things that you can just snack on that will give you energy before your race. So I was quite lucky in the fact that my family is quite nutrition focused.
Mm.
But obviously going into bodybuilding is a whole nother level. Like you understand all the intricates. It's like you need more of this, you need more of that. It's like
Mm.
specifics.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's the most important thing when I hear different people, their conversations of what they eat and stuff like that. I'm like, well, you say that you don't feel good. It's because you're having like 20 grams of carbs in your whole day. And like, and they're like, yeah, but I don't want to be fat. And I'm like, carbs aren't going to make
Yeah.
you fat. Like, they're not the
That's
reason
the
you're
common
fat. It's
one,
like,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It's like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be fat because I'm going to eat more. And it's like, you're not going to be getting like that's just conceptually, that's not how it works. Like, you
No.
don't just eat more and get fat. If you eat more of the wrong things, cool, you're going to be fat. But if you're like look at our carb ups, for example. We're having like 1,000 grams of
Yeah.
carbs in a carb up, and we don't get fat. If anything,
Right.
we get leaner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's so many times where we've literally proven it wrong to the decimal, to the decimal, to the decimal, and you're still not understanding that carbs won't make you fat. They are your literally energy source. Just choose right.
Yeah. Simple as that, really.
Too right. Too right. But like you said, nutrition is a whole nother level, and we could actually spend the next 2 hours talking about
Yeah.
the
Easily.
the lack of people's knowledge in nutrition and whatever. But yeah, we'll be here for ages. What are your, obviously within natural bodybuilding, there's this whole new rise of peptides,
There is.
some being you can use within natural bodybuilding and others being banned within bodybuilding. What are your kind of insights to it? What is your opinion on the rising peptides?
I think it's just another like it's just another fashionable thing.
Mm,
I think it's obviously there are certain peptides out there that, of course, I'm not saying that they're obviously like approved by like natural federations and stuff like that, but just peptides as a whole, there are some that do work. So it's not a case of like people take them and they're not getting any benefits because there are some that do actually work.
mm,
But when it comes to like natural bodybuilding and like taking like peptides and also things like injectable L-Carnitine and like all these other things that are in like the gray area of
mm.
sort of like substances, I personally don't agree
Stay
with.
away from.
And yeah, I try to stay away from them just because in my mind, like it's very simple in the sense of like if I have to inject something or if something's new but potentially could be banned, like there's no point in taking it. Like I'm just not gonna like not see any benefits, but like it's just not gonna do me any favors potentially in the long run because you never know with the especially with these new substances that are coming out that may not be banned right now. That doesn't go to say that they're going to be banned in the next 6 months. And if you've been taking it, then that comes
Mm,
with a bit of an issue. So yeah, I'm not necessarily against them, especially I'm against them in terms of natural bodybuilding. But as a whole, I can see that they have their purpose and they may have their benefits within assisted bodybuilding. But I think with natural bodybuilding, you should be natural, and that comes with not taking peptides, in my opinion.
mm. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I did injectable L-Carnitine.
How did you find that?
Um, yeah, I found it good. I took it at a difficult point because I started out injectable L-Carnitine at the beginning of my prep.
Hmm.
And throughout the whole vial, like I saw ridiculous amounts of fat loss. And looking back on it, I definitely think it had a massive impact on how quickly I lost weight and the condition that I got in while
Mm.
staying relatively full. I think if you're going to take it in a prep stance, I would, because it's very, very beneficial. It's good for cognitive function. I definitely felt when I stopped taking it, I had a slight decline looking back. But I think at the time when I finished the vial, I was kind of like, oh, I'll come off it and I'll see if I see any differences, any changes.
Mm.
Um, and when I was in it at the time, I didn't feel like I made anything change drastically, so I just didn't go back on it. But obviously, being in a cut now, I can see where it was benefiting me and how it was really helping me get to a lean. Like I was losing close to a kilo a week,
Yeah.
but I was retaining so much muscle.
Mm.
And then even like the later halves, I was still losing like point 0.2, point 0.3 a week, which when you're in the back end of prep is quite big. So I definitely think there's a lot of people that are starting to go onto it now, and I definitely think it's definitely one of the most researched. I understand the aspect behind injecting it is a gray area for a lot of people. But the reason why we inject it is because 90% of the time, if you're taking it orally, your body will break it down before you can actually utilize it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're taking it orally, you're just wasting your money,
Yeah.
basically.
It's just pointless at that point.
Um,
Like you're not
like
getting any of the benefits, and
exactly, you think it's in your monsters. Like
yeah,
L-Carnitine is in a monster. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's not gonna have like, and I think that's the thing. Is like people are like, oh yeah, but I don't want to take it because it's, I don't know if it's going to be considered natural or not. And I'm like, yes, but look at it in the grand scheme of things. Look at how many things have L-carnitine in it. The only reason you're taking it injectably is so that your body can actually absorb it and utilize it. Um, so I don't think it will ever be something that will be banned. I think obviously with more and more peptides coming out and natural bodybuilding getting bigger and bigger, I think there will definitely be more investigation into it. But do I think that it will be banned? Probably not, because it's such a widely available substance,
Mm.
and obviously it's in everything. So how can you test? Because for example, if you could ban L-carnitine, right? Yes, you could probably ban specific levels, like above certain levels within the body. But if you're drinking monsters in prep, you're gonna have L-carnitine in your system.
Especially if you're slamming like 4 or
If you're
5 a day.
slamming like 4 or 5 a day, which I was, but like you're gonna have high levels in it anyway because you're drinking it all the time. So they
Mm.
can't really ban it because you're always going to be testing positive for it. And
Yeah,
also,
I think it's like that limit that's obviously that's the only thing that they'd
mm,
probably be able to test for it. But yeah, I think for me personally anyway, like the actual injecting side of things is what like almost
puts you off.
takes, yeah, it kind of puts me off. And as well as that, like in the grand scheme of things, like okay, yes, it may have some benefits for sure. But like if you look back across the last few years across like natural bodybuilding, have people been able to get in ridiculous shape without it? Yeah.
Mm,
Can they build
mm.
a hell of a lot of muscle without it? Yeah, of course, you know. So it's not like a necessary thing that you have to take. Yes, it may provide the 1% benefits, of course, but I don't think it's like a necessary thing, especially if you're off put by injecting like myself, then I think you're still going to be able to achieve great things without it, sort of thing. That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I think you touched on it a while back. I remember seeing it on your story that you touched on it, and I think a few other people have. And it's almost in the sense of if you do want to do it, then that's okay, right? As long as you understand the injecting side and the benefits of it, and the even like there aren't really any negatives to it, but understanding that with anything that you inject and the risks to it, as long as you understand all of that, then it's fine. But I remember you touching on it, and someone else as well, I've seen a few times, is if you're going to take something like that, you're taking it to enhance what you're already doing. So you need to take a step back and look at everything that you're doing and make sure you're doing everything possible first, and then you're using it to benefit you more. Like, there's no point taking it if you haven't got your routine dialed, if you're not doing your steps all the time, if you're not properly hydrated, if you're not, your electrolyte balance isn't there. Like, if you haven't got all of these things, and you're not prioritizing them, there's no reason for you to be jumping on L-Carnitine, because you're not going to get the benefits from it because you're not doing everything anyway. I think like the main point is making sure you're sleeping well, your recovery is good, your training is good, your nutrition is good, and your hydration is good. If you can do all of those four things and you're staying on top of all of the other little factors, then I think at that point you can then decide whether or not it's something you want to do. And even then, just making sure that you're sure, because like just injecting itself, the actual concept of injecting has its risks. And
Mm.
if you're not being careful of that, if you're not being aware of that, then you could be putting yourself at risk. So just make sure you're doing all right.
100%. And like you said, like if you're constantly cheating on your diet, no matter how much injectable L-carnitine you inject, it's not going to fix your diet, and it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
automatically make you lose 10 pounds because you've been cheating on your diet every single week. Like you need to get those things in place before you even consider that. And of course, that also goes to like taking anabolics as well. Like before taking anabolics, you should decide, right, am I training seriously? Am I taking my nutrition? Like all of those things need to be in place, and that should also apply to things like injectable L-carnitine, because it's not just a magic fix, a quick fix. Like
Mm.
it's the 1% benefits, and like I said, you'll get a lot more if you just nail your routine and nail your nutrition and nail your training. Like that will help your progress a lot more than just fucking everything else up and just thinking, oh no, I can just ignore all of that and just inject this.
It's the 1% to the 99%. Like
Mm.
you have to be working at 99% for you to see that 1% benefit.
Yeah,
And if you're at 89%, you're not going to
you're not
see
gonna
that
see it.
benefit.
No.
Yeah. And I think that's what people don't. I think that's what's interesting when you see an insane physique, you see a crazy physique, whether they be ridiculously lean or really big, really full, whatever it is. People are quick to blame anabolics and say that like they're taking gear and stuff like that. What you don't realize is similar to that L-carnitine being the 1% to your 99, anabolics will only work if you have everything dialed. And that's not a question of should you or could you. It's a definite. You have to be on top of everything. Because if you go back and you watch the podcast I did with Jack Archer, he goes into the detail of you start taking anabolics, you are going to die earlier. Like there's no in between. You do take it, you will die earlier. If you're okay with that, then that's fine. Go ahead. But there's no, when you're on anabolics, there's no negotiables. You can't not be hydrated, because if you're not hydrated, your blood pressure is going to go through the roof. If you aren't eating certain micronutrients, you're going to be putting your health at risk. You're going to be putting your functions, whether it's kidney function, liver function, heart function, whatever it is, you're putting them at risk. So you have to be on top of your macro and micronutrients, on top of your hydration and electrolytes. And if you don't have them dialed, then you're going to be putting serious effects to your health. So just accusing someone of being on gear because they have a good physique is, in my opinion, wild, because you're just assuming that they're putting their life at risk just for a physique. Which I guess in effect, sometimes you are, but we take it for a reason. And there's reasons why we pursue these kind of things. And I think it's our choice, isn't it?
100%. And yeah, like you said, like I'm sure Jack went over all of that like on the podcast, but
Mm.
those are the things that you should really focus on and make sure are in check before even considering going assisted. A lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm just going to jump on and get massive, when actually you need to take into consideration all of those little things like
Mm.
micronutrients, like your electrolyte balance, because those things can have like detrimental effects to your health, which at the end of the day is important. So yeah, it isn't a case of just jumping on and getting absolutely massive. It is a case of actually, right, thinking about everything else in terms of your health, and you have to be 100% on it. And again, to get the most out of it, because like just taking it for the sake of it and not nailing your nutrition, not nailing your training, your routine, your sleep, like you're not going to get the most from it, and you're not probably going to make that much progress, regardless of how much anabolics you take. Like everything else needs to be in check alongside that to get the most from it.
100%. Well said. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Whether that be you, whether that be your business, whatever. Where do you see?
The next 3 to 5 years, I would say I would like to be a coach within the industry that consistently puts people on stage at a high level in the sense of getting very, very good results and achieving good stuff with my clients. As well as that, like, of course, still coaching to a high level in and around like, lifestyle as well, but definitely more towards the natural bodybuilding scene for sure, and just like putting more and more people on stage and just getting better and better results and improving my knowledge in and around that side of things. In regards to myself, again, probably compete in the next 3 to 5 years. I'd like to think so, and obviously do a little bit better.
Hopefully twice. I want to see
Hopefully,
two. I want to see two
hopefully,
seasons in the next 3 to 5 years
next
from you.
5 years maybe. No, maybe not 3 years,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Next 5 years, fine.
next
Next
5 years,
5 years,
probably
I want to see two
5 years. Yeah,
seasons.
probably 2 seasons. Probably 2 seasons. Um,
Easy.
so yeah, definitely compete again for sure. But the main focus, like right now, is definitely just pushing my coaching and pushing more people on stage and stuff like that, and improving that area. So that is the main focus. But of course, as well, like competing again is also in there within the mix of the next few years as well. But yeah, that's sort of where I'd like to see myself, and that's sort of the path that I'm on right now. Yeah, what about yourself? Where would you like to see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Very similar. Very similar. I want to do so. Obviously, I want to compete. I'm competing next year, 2027.
Exciting.
Um, I will probably compete again in 2029. So I want to compete twice before I'm out of juniors. So
How
next
old are you
year
now?
I'll be. So I'm 20 now.
Wild. Wow.
Yeah, I'm 20
You've got
now.
ages. You've got ages.
I know, I know. So if I compete next year, if I compete before March, then I'll still be 21, and then that gives me another opportunity. Or if I compete after March, then I'll probably compete the year after, just as like a final send off.
Hmm.
I still think I'll make good progress within a year. So I think you can do it in Olympia. You can do it at any level.
There we go.
But yeah, I definitely want to compete twice before I leave juniors, just because I think I've got a lot of potential to tap into, and I'm very excited to see what is to come. Um, but yeah, that's the plans, bodybuilding wise, coaching wise. I want to grow my business to similar to you, having a name that when people think about bodybuilding and when people think about stepping on stage, I want my name to be one of those. I want the coaching brand to be one of those that people look to. Um, I want this podcast to grow a lot. I want this podcast to be one of those podcasts where people want to be on to share their stories, to share their come ups, the struggles. I think the whole ethos behind Built with Intent is all about um, challenging things in life and pursuing in those hard parts to get to where you want. And it's all about building that brand, and the theme is in the title, Built with Intent. Like you're building something, whether it be your coaching brand, your physique, your life as a whole. You're always building something, and it's having that intent behind what you're building it for and who you're building it for, whether it's yourself, whether it's external, can be anything. But yeah, I think podcast is definitely the biggest focus, because it's one of those that I can share stories of not only myself but other people, and it can influence people in different ways. By sharing your story, by sharing others' stories, it allows people to see where they've gone wrong and where they can improve, and advice on how to do better. And I think mindset, especially as guys, we don't talk enough. And
Hmm.
this is kind of like a safe space where you can just share your emotion and share the way that you feel and the things that you've encountered. So I think that's a really good way to do that. And I want my podcast to be one of the biggest names within podcasting. I think it's very easily doable.
100%. That's good.
Um, but yeah,
That's cool. I mean, you've got some good guests on, so just keep
yeah,
doing your thing,
more
man.
to come.
More
More
to
to come.
come.
This is only the beginning. I can
Only
promise you
the
that. I've got some new big names coming.
cool.
Starting out, do you have any advice for someone starting out, whether it be coaching, whether it be bodybuilding, or just life focused, business focused? Do you have any advice?
In terms of coaching, I would say just get experience in the sense
Mhm.
of just try to not focus on like the money side of things and think about, oh, it's a quick way to get rich and things like that. Like just try and
Mhm.
fall in love with actually coaching and helping people, because it will take you it will take you a long way, in the sense of you'll be able to actually grow your business and also make it a business if you actually have passion for it. In regards to bodybuilding, for people starting bodybuilding or wanting to compete, do things you enjoy. Do things you enjoy, and that also translates into life as well. But do things you enjoy, whether that be a certain training style or whatnot. Like, there's so many ways to do certain things in regards to nutrition, in regards to training, in regards to everything. There's so many ways, and so many things work. Like, it's not one size fits all. So try and focus on what you enjoy and almost just do that, because again, more enjoyment within the process will lead to more progress long term. And there's plenty of time. You know, people think that like, oh, they've only got a certain amount of years, but there's plenty of time. There really, really is. Like, you're so young and you're still way ahead of most people. And I think some people, probably like yourself, don't realize that. But yeah, you've got a long way ahead of you, mate. So yeah, just enjoy it. That's like literally the main thing, is just try and find enjoyment in everything that you do.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone at the gym earlier today, and especially me, I'm sure loads of other people as well, you forget the position you're
Mm,
in relation to your age. Like if someone was to ask me what I do, well, I'm an online coach. I'm an amateur bodybuilding pursuing pro. I work a full time job, and I also run a podcast. Like, I'm a business owner at 20, which is pretty insane. And I think it only and you forget about it. You forget that that is the list of you,
mm,
and you almost take it for granted sometimes. And I think this goes down back to when we were talking about prep. It's just live in the moment, enjoy it, enjoy the struggles. Like, I'll probably look back at this moment in 2, 3 years' time, when this is a lot bigger and the podcast is a lot bigger and it's a name in the bodybuilding industry. And I'll be like, wow, yeah, I actually enjoyed being in that moment, being under all of that pressure and having to push through all the time. And now I look back on it and it's just a breeze. Like, it's just something you go through. I think that's what prep teaches you. It's like you go through hardships, and at the end you get the result and you get the reward from the result. And the result isn't the placing. The result is stepping on stage, being in that condition,
mm.
being surrounded by your friends, your family, having them celebrate your wins with you, just being there with people. That is the result. And everything in life has a result, whether it be good, bad, but it all teaches you a lesson.
Yeah,
Um,
100%, 100%.
yeah, sick.
There we
Charlie
go.
or Everall, everyone, thank you very much. I really
Thank you for
appreciate
having me
you
on.
for coming on here. Where can people find you?
Mainly just on Instagram, Charlie underscore Everall, I believe it is. Yeah, that is like the main place of contact, and you can inquire for coaching through there as well. But yeah, mate, really appreciate you having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, people have taken some value in the waffle that I've chatted over the last hour or so. But no, mate, it's been a pleasure, and really appreciate you having me on. Do
Yeah, we'll get a session in soon. Don't worry.
100%.
We'll get Cameron to film it.
Yeah, that would be
That'd be
really cool.
sick. That'd be
Your gym
sick.
looks really good, so I definitely would like to come down.
Yeah,
So
anytime.
yeah,
Equipment is solid.
yeah,
If you don't know, come to Full Motion. It's
there we
Full
go.
Motion Fitness in Andover. It is a solid, solid gym.
Yeah, we'll
But
definitely get
also Le Coach, very good. Although
that.
if you want to pay a ridiculous price for a day pass, then go there.
We won't talk about that. It's ridiculous.
It's stupid. It's
Yeah,
silly.
nuts. It's
Uh,
nuts.
t- I think the prices of people of gyms day passes now, bearing in mind, right, a day pass is about experiencing your gym.
Hmm.
If you're paying a ridiculous fee to start with, your whole ethos for your whole energy towards that gym is going to be poor. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
Like they can have top of the top equipment, but because you've overcharged me on your day pass, like I'm already going into it with a worse mindset.
no, yeah, yeah, it's nuts. I
um,
remember not that long ago, day passes used to be like a fiver,
yeah, that's what
and
they
now
should be.
now
That's
the
what they
going
should
rate
be.
is like 15, 10 to 15, and obviously the coach is 20, which is
Yeah.
nuts.
Like I understand your gym has certain things that are really good,
Hmm.
but the whole point of a day pass is to get someone to want to buy a membership. And if you're overcharging your day passes, people are just going to be turned away and they're just going to go elsewhere. So I think if you're a gym owner out there, I'd probably look at your prices of your day passes and maybe just have a think of why it's so expensive and you could probably get more benefit out of dropping them. Anyway, that's enough of that. If you've listened to this far, thank you very much. I appreciate you listening. Drop a like, drop a follow. If you want to see a little gym collab between me and Charlie and Charlie, then stay tuned, and that will be, I'm sure, it'll be in very, very shortly. But
We'll get that done. We'll
again,
get that done.
thank you for joining me. I've really appreciated this. I love what you're doing in the sport, and hopefully, we'll see some big things with you in the next 5 years, 2 seasons.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Thank you guys, and speak to you soon. Peace out.